In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about things I didn't know before I moved to Sweden. So compare it what my perception was of Sweden to what it is now. If you're new to my channel, my name is Julie, I'm German, and I moved here with my British partner from London, UK, with our 4-year-old daughter. Meanwhile, we also have a 7-month-old daughter, so that makes us a family of 4. Here on YouTube, I talk all things Swedish, our still new life in Sweden, the ups, the downs, and everything in between. So if you like to follow along, make sure to subscribe. So let's get started. I know sometimes I talk about Stockholm because that's where we moved, just outside of Stockholm. So I sometimes talk about Sweden, sometimes talk about Stockholm. Some things fit together, and it's the same and sometimes not. But yeah, what I noticed and I really didn't expect is that Stockholm is quite quiet. Of course, if you compare it to the countryside or to smaller cities, I'm sure it's such a difference. And people would say like Stockholm is a buzzing city, but I'm comparing it more to other cities. Like, okay, London is a bit big, but Munich is probably almost the same size as Stockholm. And to be fair, I didn't go out much here in Stockholm because I have 2 little kids. But when I did, I was very surprised how quiet it was. I went out once on a Friday and the restaurants were not really crowded and people were not really on the street despite the weather being not too bad. It was just recently in September. But yeah, I'm very, very surprised that Stockholm is not more buzzing, that people are not like outside or in restaurants. And I mean, of course, it depends probably in which area, but I really expected it to be much more crowded on Friday night. And I think in winter it's probably even worse because people just like to snuggle up at home, which is fair enough. But it is something I didn't expect before I moved to Sweden. So the second thing I want to mention here is the summers. I feel they're from another world. Okay, I knew about the summers here in Sweden, and we have summers in Germany and summers in the UK. And of course, summer has a little bit something really where you're happier, it's nice weather, you just can go outside and do things. But I feel here in Sweden, and I really didn't expect that. And I already thought, okay, yes, Sweden is great in summer, but it's even better than I thought. So I didn't expect that it is something even better, even more to appreciate as well. I think because you have these long dark winters here, the appreciation of summer is just another level. And here, I mean, this is something I knew it, geographically, but I didn't really appreciate it or thought this is something to be going really amazing. That Stockholm has so many lakes and is surrounded by the sea. It's so cool, and I know I mentioned that a few times, but it's really something I didn't expect to be that great. So after over a year living here, this is just something where I thought, yes, actually, this is something I want in my life. Well, when I was 15 years old, I did a trip with my cousin and her parents to Sweden. It was somewhere in the south, I think, like quite far away from Stockholm. We had a little vacation house. And there's 3 things I actually remember. One was that it looked like a Bullaby environment. Obviously, if you're Swedish, the children of Bullaby or something like that, if I translate it into English. And the houses looked like it, or like Pippi Langstrumpf. Like, I really thought I'm living here my Astrid Lindgren life, which I really adored her. So I read a lot of books. I think it's a very German thing. Germans are familiar with Astrid Lindgren a lot. I mean, we could be almost Swedish, really. And so we went to the Astrid Lindgren world. And then the second I remember was that the boys were very handsome. I know that the girls are normally to be known to be really pretty, but I only had eyes for the boys, and I really realized the boys are really handsome. So that's what I remember. Anyways, back to the summers. It's just so beautiful. You just want to spend time outside. What I find as well is that I can understand that everything is a bit quiet during summer. People just enjoying their vacations. They take long vacations, which is very new to us as well. And just, travel within the country really, because why would you go anywhere else in summer? It's better to travel somewhere else, maybe in the early of the year or late in the year when the winter comes. So I feel summers need to be spent in Sweden for sure. I used to live in Singapore for a year, and you can imagine it's really hot there. It was also quite humid, and people didn't really want to spend all their time outside. I feel like that's a bit of the difference. I know that some people want to move to hotter countries because they're tired of the cold and the darkness, but I feel, especially since I lived in Singapore, I appreciate the season so much, and I now appreciate summer even more. And I think Swedish people don't have to move to Singapore to realize that they really appreciate the summer and the whole spirit, the whole attitude you can feel. And it's just really lovely. Of course, the downside is a little bit everything slows down a little bit. If you want to get anything done in the summer, I don't recommend doing that. It's better to use other productive months than maybe June, July, and August. Some things feel like I knew them before, but I actually didn't. So having this long period of time off in Sweden during the summer month is really amazing, and I had no idea that people do that here in Sweden. It makes total sense, of course, and this is something also where I was like, this is great in Sweden, so it's better than I thought, basically. And then the next thing is that there are kids everywhere. I mean, maybe it's just me noticing this because I'm a mom myself. And I don't know how Sweden does it, because when you look at the statistics, it says like the birth rate in Sweden is declining. And I think the average child per family basically is 1.7. So either you have one or two, and then some people have obviously no children. And some people obviously have no children, some have like 3. I do feel like there are kids everywhere in such a kid-friendly country. It's made for kids, it's a country for kids. And that is something I didn't really know. Of course, I knew about the great parental leave. I did hear that. That's quite international. I feel like at some point you have heard about it. But that the country offers so much for the kids is something, again, very surprising, very positively surprising to me, where I think like, yeah, why did I not think about this before, that Sweden is one of the great countries to let your kids grow up. I mean, the area we live in feels also super kid friendly. It seems like every house has a family in there. Some kids are older, but some kids are the same age as our kids. And it feels like such a kid-friendly community here. Again, of course, I was thinking that Sweden has such potential, but then you come here, you live here, and you do experience it like properly. And whatever you thought before, maybe either it proves wrong, or it's even better, or it's how you thought it is. At this point, I feel like it's even better. It's just funny that I never considered Sweden as a country to move here. I mean, maybe it's also the language, and normally you think about an English-speaking country first, although a lot of people like Spain and want to move to Spain. Do you want to move to Spain? And then something I really didn't expect is the housing situation here in Sweden, especially in the bigger cities like Stockholm. Like, I really didn't expect, like, why is it so complicated in Sweden? It was only really revealed when I started researching a little bit, and then I really got the idea of what it is like when we moved here. I mean, I still feel like we were quite lucky. We didn't have too many complications, but at the same time, I feel you need quite a bit of money to actually make it happen. Again, there are these lists, you have to put yourself on it, but Swedes are on it for a long time until they get a flat, or I don't even know if you can get houses or if you just buy houses. This is an interesting question which just popped into my head. It is quite stressful, and I think it puts people off maybe coming here. At least when I see some comments in like groups or so, it's like, I'm looking for this and that, and how can I get there? And people want to ideally get an accommodation before they move, but that's also something quite complicated here. And I did not know that scammers are such a thing here as well, especially with housing. I would not have thought, maybe I also have a bit of or I had before I moved to Sweden, like an ideal, like this beautiful Sweden, there's no crime, there's no, okay, this is obviously ridiculous. In every country there's crime, you cannot avoid it. But yeah, sometimes you idealize a little bit. But yeah, the housing situation is not great, and it's definitely a big dislike about Sweden. But if you have followed us, we did the thing where we bought a house, but again, you need some money for it. So it seems a little bit, you need money to really feel comfortable here with the housing situation. So this is something I definitely didn't know about Sweden before I moved here. And last but not least, what is it with all those candy stores? Why is Sweden doing that? In like every supermarket, there are these aisles of sweets, and then you have like dedicated days where the children can eat sweets, which I actually like, by the way. We adapted quite quickly to that lifestyle, where we can now tell our child, it's not the weekend, we cannot eat any sugar, but when it's the weekend, you can do it. So I like that. It's a good rule to follow, but still I'm very surprised that there's so much advocacy here for those candy stores, but at the same time then you have this rule of only eating it at the weekend or on a Saturday, which comes from, I get it from a dentist, probably a campaign where they said like it's better to eat one day candies rather than a little bit every day because of your teeth. But yeah, it's so contradictory, and also people are quite fit here. It's very important to Sweden to do some sort of sports, football, or to keep your body moving. But then you have those sweets. Why do you even offer these sweets? Like it's unreal. I don't know that from the UK or from Germany. Of course we have these aisles somewhere, but here it's everywhere. You have certain shops for it, or in every supermarket you have it. And I feel that's a little bit too much. Maybe it's an American thing and Sweden adopted it from America. I don't know, but it is something I really had no idea. And I'm still to this day ask myself a little bit like why they have that. What, like when they are so body conscious or like to be fit, or maybe they do need a little bit of balance for happiness. Maybe it's that, I don't know. But yeah, I had no idea that there are so many candy stores here in Sweden. So there you go, a few things I didn't expect about Sweden before I moved here, and kind of discovered it fully when I moved here and lived here for now 1 year and 4 months. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching till the end. I hope I will see you in my next video. Until then, have a great day and stay safe. Hey there!